Hello, my darlings, and we are back again. This happens to be June 20th through the 26th. Um, and I'm kind of responding to a request or two that I've had that says, what about palmistry? How do you read palms? Well, it's one of the things that I do, but I also want to impart some of that information to you so that if you want to get started reading palms, um, you'll have a couple little things to look for. To begin with, I received some instruction from a lady here in Southern California that was very, very well known in the circles of palmistry and reflexology. And her name was Linda Liebman, like love man, Liebman. And like I said, she was very, very well known, but she came from a familial lineage that supported her belief system, right? So she would not only do tarot readings, but she would do palm readings, and she learned from her father, who was known for reflexology. And for those of you that don't know, reflexology has to do with the feet. All right, let me, as two separate words, the feet, not defeat. Okay, so any pains and lumps and bumps that you feel on your feet can be identified and compared with a lack in that area. Okay, so just know that that's what her father was famous for. So let's get back to the idea of Linda. Now, on a palm, there's things to be learned that are not only the shape of the palm and the fingers, but what the lines are. Okay, and there's lots of lines on this particular palm. Know too that your hands change over time. So if you get a reading, say this year, in 3 years, you can have another reading, and there may be other lines that have showed up. All right, so it's something that can be renewable as well. Now, I like it because sometimes it helps you with a time frame. Okay, I'm going to use this little palm because it's easier to see, because there's going to be a few lines that we want to dictate uh, meanings to begin with, and then we'll branch off from there. The first one that I want you to look at is the one that goes above your thumb on the side of your knuckle, and it goes down around this mound of Venus. Okay, that's MOUN, and it curves down toward your wrist, right? That's a lifeline. Okay, so it's one of three important ones. Three? 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 Okay. So know that that's one thing we want to pay attention to. Another one is going to be the one that starts close to, sometimes touching, just above that, and runs laterally across your hand. And that is the headline. And for me, a lot of times that is about personal intent, it's about intelligence. Um, and so that's very reflective. Okay, then the third one that we're going to talk about today is the love line. And it starts side of your palm, under your little finger, and runs generally toward this little mound right here, but sometimes runs in between the fingers, right? So there's three lines that we want to look at today. Where you go from here is totally up to you. There are wonderful books on the subject. There are crappy books on the subject. And a lot of them are simply a starting point for you. And then after a while, you can even read it intuitively. I went to a party and I read a man's palm, and I looked at it, and it looked like a football to me. And I said, this is the kind of palm that if you ever decide you want to be a pro football player, once you get a hold of that ball, you're never going to let go of it. So you would be a receiver of some sort. And he like punched his girlfriend and laughed. He had gone on a college scholarship for football, and his hand showed it. All right. So you may find bits of information that you never would have expected to know about, right? So here we go. Let's go back and take a look quickly at the lifeline. See, it says fade on one side, but that has to do with the up-down line. Okay. We want the lifeline, which is this one. This talks about the beginning of your life. So it's the closest section here towards your thumb. Okay, so it starts up here. Okay, so this lifeline starts here. There's a separation between it and the headline, right? But this is telling me this is a long, steady line, which is indicating health. There's no breaks in the line. There's no strikes against the line. There's no loops where that would keep the line continuous. On many people, matter of fact, most people, this line runs underneath the thumb and creates these lines around the wrist. All right? Is that clear? Okay, you can even look at your own and see, I've got lines around my wrist, but I'm getting older, so it makes sense. The longer I live, the more lines I should be having there, hopefully. Okay, so this is telling me that that's a good indication. This one is like average lifespan. I suspect most of us are going to be having lines that run all the way down here because medical breakthroughs are adding to our longevity. So that's what we're looking for. So definitely want it to be rolling underneath the thumb. And then you'll see marks along that line for most of you. If there's a loop there, it usually indicates that there was a problem that could have been life-threatening and then it got healed. Okay, so it's a closed loop like that. If it has a strike against it, it means you need to pay attention to it because maybe you have high blood pressure right now. If you have a strike right across there where it says life, maybe that's what that's indicating. And so you're going to look at that and say, well, I can alter that and take care of myself and do what's necessary. Maybe it's diet or medication that will heal it, right? So that's a couple of things that you can see off of this line. Another thing that you're looking for too is where the headline and the lifeline meet together. This is usually how you interact with family at a young age. And according to this hand, it looks to me like this was an independent thinker that might have gone, okay, yeah, whatever you say. And in their mind, they're thinking, no way, I'm not going to do that, but I'll let them think so we don't have a confrontation. Okay? Because there's a gap there between the way you think and the way your family thinks. Okay? Sometimes it can even indicate how many children are in your family. So how many little strikes are in that little V, all right? So that tells us a little bit about the lifeline. Let's go over here to the headline. Now this one is pulling out to the side and it's a nice even line, okay? This speaks to me of at least average intelligence. It wants to continue on a little bit. Then that indicates to me there's like almost two lines there. That indicates to me that there's an interest in learning. See that little line? So you'll have the basics that you learn and there'll be a tangent that you might go off on that tells me it's a specific idea that you have to research, you want to investigate, okay? Some of you have lines that run way off into this part of your hand, may even split, and that is extremely intelligent people, all right? But very much in the mind, so it'll be in your head a lot. So as opposed to being about emotions, it'll be more about what you think is knowledge, all right? And then let's take a look. This little line starts over here, rolls around the edge of the hand, and then comes up. This hand is showing me the emotions of the person that owns this line. Okay, little lines on the side tell me about maybe long-term relationships. And it looks to me like this person is destined for probably one serious relationship, probably marriage, okay? There could be more lines there that'll indicate more things, and then maybe even little lines off of that. But this is our basic for it. Now, where does it go? It runs deep because it's not too close to those fingers, right? It's got a depth to it. So that's depth of emotion. But it also runs over here to this mound, M-O-U-N, which is the mound that you would be looking for if this person cares a lot about other people. If it continues up and goes in between these two fingers, your pointer finger and your middle finger, right? It indicates that you are loyal in romance, okay? And that is long-term committed stuff. It falls in between these two fingers. a sure sign of marriage or at least long-term commitment. When it stops over here in that mound, as I started to say, it indicates what you might leave for other people. Sometimes you'll see like chicken feet at the end of that line, and that would mean somebody who has a deep concern about making a difference for other people by the time they leave this life. That's the altruistic hand. You leave a scholarship, you leave a legacy, you donate money to something that's important to you. Maybe you love PBS and you donate money as your final gift before you depart this world. So all of these things can be revealed on your hand, right? This is just the palm so far, right? A couple little things right here. Can you see? Here's our thumb. If I were to pull on this thumb on a real person, whether it bounces or not, reveals how willful they are. If I'm tugging on your thumb and it's not moving, that tells me I've got about 3 seconds to convince you of another thought that you might have. So I'm willful, resistant, reluctant to change my mind, and my thumb shows it. Now, if your thumb curls way over, you know somebody that's got a really curly thumb, be suspicious of how angry they might get. So that'll be the true test of their personality. If it bends a whole lot and doesn't move, I'm sorry, that's a contradiction. If it bends over backwards a lot and doesn't move easily, just be mindful, okay? Definitely. Some people call that the murderer's thumb. Just a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know what I mean? And one final thing for us to end with on the palm is this little crescent that goes from the middle of the little finger to the middle of the index finger there. That's the girdle of Venus, and that really speaks to how deep your emotions lie in terms of romance. So you believe in romance. You may have had your heart broken bunches of times, but you still believe in romance. All right? So here's a little glimpse just of what we've been looking at and talking about. Might help if you even freeze frame so you can take a better look at those things. All right. If you happen to have any questions, you might pop them in the category down below. Leave me a comment and we'll see if we can answer your question a little later. We can talk about the fingers at a later time. Alrighty, so let's draw just a couple of cards and see what's up. Oh, by the way, if you can't afford a big book on palmistry and stuff, you can go to the library and find things like that. But you can also go to card stores and find things like this. So it's a little nudge in the right direction, a little handy, literally handy description on what these lines might mean. This is a little fuzzy. Let me see. Or maybe that'll help. Okay. So there are other places. Then the final word that I have on that too is if you don't find an answer in a book, use your intuition, because there's many things that I read the football off of that hand. You won't find that in the book anywhere. It just is a hint that you have, and it's like give voice to it, because chances are the person that you're reading is going, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. All right. So let's just lay down a quick card from each of my decks, and that'll give us a heads up. Whoops. How about that? We were talking a lot about the love on your palm, and this is the Lover's card. So keep your eyes open for opportunities for you in terms of love and romance, especially if you happen to be an Aries. All right, so heads up on that. It's that little flipped card, and then another card that was by it was my Aries card. All right, let's look at Mother Peace and see what they have to say real quick. This could be an eventful week, so just temper yourself. Jimmy Buffett says, pace yourselves, pace yourselves. So if anybody's getting the best of you, take a few deep breaths and excuse yourself for a moment or two. We'll see. Diffuse the situation. Yeah, this is, don't fight it. Oops, let me show it to you a little better. Don't fight it. Later you'll laugh about it, so take it easy. We had a pretty big moon the other night, and it's having a lot of influence on many of us that are empaths. So don't let yourself be provoked into something you don't want to get involved in. And my last card is from the Voyager deck. All right, kiddos. And a split. Let's see what we got. Like, yeah. Allow yourself to be guided and led. Here's my good old spirit guide card. I'm going to give you a little lesson that this is the spirit guide, and they are delighted with the progress that you're making. And all of us are headed on the right path. So just know that you're being inspired at this time. But it's about you, it's not other people. So keep your own counsel on this. Like I said, don't be provoked. We've got some great instances here of inspiration, and look for signs because the signs are going to follow you. So it could be a very important week. Alrighty, kiddos, love for now, and I'll talk to you real soon. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.